Part 134. Heaven-Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1341. Yun Mo had a problem with himself, he harmed his brother, and ended up miserable, and it was not a pity to die. Wu Yu was still plotting before, but now that he has gained some time, he can calmly face the pursuit of the Slaughter Immortal Palace, so he has to go out to find the Immortal King order on his own. But he didn't expect that the Immortal King's order would be delivered to him today. The first major event of the past 20 years has been successfully resolved just over a year ago. This is a great thing. Then, he can practice with peace of mind and concentrate on preparing for the Immortal King seal. Wu Yu's goal is, of course, to marry Luo concubine in an upright manner 120 years later. From then on, we stayed together in an upright manner. As a man, this is the most basic thing he needs to give his concubine. She gave everything and treated herself sincerely. The two of them came from the mortal world to this vast immortal road, and Wu Yu could not let her walk alone. She is also waiting for herself now. Wu Yu arrived at Shen'an Ferry City and settled down with Su Zidong and the others. Next is the time to practice with peace of mind. He told Luo Bin the news that he had received the Immortal King's order, and she was naturally very happy. During these days, she had already started practicing due to the inheritance of the 8 heavenly dragons. The 8 parts of the heavenly dragon's body and the ancient holy emperor dragon emperor's scripture were specially created for the Shenlong clan. Luo Bai's future is boundless. Perhaps countless years later, if things go well, she may even be comparable to the 9 dragon emperors. Wu Yu thought that if after countless years, he could hold an official position in the highest heaven, he would not need to be comparable to the king of the kingdom, but at least he would be an immortal emperor, and he would be the same as Luo. The concubines and concubines stay and live together, like a couple of gods and immortals. It is wonderful over there. That's his future goal. Of course, now that he has received the inheritance from the 4 of them, Monkey King, he also needs to find out what secrets they have. Su Zidong and the others made a lot of arrangements, and with so many things happening, it was obvious that they would not go out again before Taixu Immortal Road. They also spent a relatively high price to live in the expensive Immortal Inn, which was slightly safer than in Chennai Immortal City. You know, they have to stay here for 20 years, which is not a small sum. If they were to protect him, Wu Yu would have no money, but he would stay in such a safe place. The Immortal King order was given to him by them, so Wu Yu was still very grateful to them. Over the next 19 years, Wu Yu got along well with them, and gradually became as familiar as brothers and sisters. They all regard Wu Yu as their little brother in the big world of Gu Mo. They take care of him. Obviously, Yun Mo received such care in the past, but Yun Mo relied on his favor and became arrogant. They have excellent temperaments and are indeed rare and generous people, and they know how to be happy, and you will be very happy with them. On the way to immortality, you should move forward freely. Otherwise, what will you do if you become an immortal? Su Zidong often laughed. If one day, I can become the Immortal King, then I will work hard. Although I can't win a piece of sky, I can still get a piece of sky and realm. At that time, we brothers and sisters can walk sideways and have no worries forever. No worries. This is Su Zidong's dream. He is a little tired of wandering and wants to get a back cover and truly become a happy and satisfied god. This is his pursuit. It is as precious as Wu Yu's pursuit of perfection. Therefore, every time the Taixu Immortal Road opens, it is the most important thing for Su Zidong. He wants to win a peaceful place for his younger brothers and sisters, and for the immortals from the Gumo world. Wu Yu spent most of his time practicing in the Fusion Tower, and a small part of his time chatting and having fun with them. In order to avoid all kinds of attention and suspicion, they must often change the Immortal Inn and location to avoid pursuit and live an extremely thrilling life. The closer they get to the time when the Taixu Immortal Road opens, the crazier the Immortals become. In these days, the Shen-En Emperor Immortal of Shen-En Immortal City has also killed many rebels, but there are still many people who take desperate risks for the Immortal King's order. Wu Yu, on the other hand, was calm and focused. He knew that the most important thing for him to fight for the Immortal King seal was his strength, so he still aimed to increase his strength. After all, he is still the weakest one in the team. Yang Wenlin has the ability to suppress him. Of course, they are all seniors, so it is normal to suppress Wu Yu. Wu Yu found that even from the perspective of the immortal Lord of the Four Realms, it was still quite difficult to figure out his own way. On this immortal road, the higher you go, the more experience and talent you will definitely need, and the immortal road is vast, so I think it is impossible to move forward as rapidly as before. At least it will consume a lot of time and energy to ponder and deduce. The road to immortality is like an ocean, and Wu Yu only controlled a drop of water. If he wants to control the entire ocean, he still has a long way to go. In the Fusion Tower, for 1,000 years, Wu Yu was stuck on a problem. He pondered for a long time before he made a breakthrough. He knew very well that if he wanted to progress faster, he had to devour at least 7 realms of immortals and above. That level of height allows him to have more experience and fortune. At present, he still has to prepare and settle down his own realm. It is really dangerous outside now, and one could lose his life if he is not careful. Wu Yu is not in a hurry. He knows that swallowing must be controlled and settled, so that his foundation can be more stable. Otherwise, in his impatience, he will definitely become the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor. The 8th path is the way of changing the speed of time. When the 7th path was the path of the void, Wu Yu was wondering what the ancient immortal pattern of the 8th path he wanted to condense would be. That must transcend the path of emptiness. It took a long time to think about how to transcend the void. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. In the end, he got some advice in the Tower of Floating Life, and finally understood that what is more profound than the void is the time and years, and the origins are flowing. And the speed of time, even if it is only part of it, is astonishing enough. Extraordinary. The key is that he knows that no matter which immortal king he devours, he will not have the experience of changing the speed of time. Therefore, other people's perspectives and opinions can only provide reference. The most important thing is for Wu Yu to figure this out for himself. The method of changing the speed of time took Wu Yu thousands of years. He finally understood why others had been practicing for thousands of years. The immortal road is vast, and even 9 yuan of time is not too long. In this way, he became the 8-headed mysterious immortal, possessing the ancient immortal patterns of the 8 paths. What the ancient immortal pattern of the last path is, it is a bit difficult to imagine. That must be perfection, the way to change speed beyond time. On the other hand, the dragon elephant Tathagata Prajna Buddha body is slightly simpler. Wu Yu relied on his excellent knowledge and a long time to cultivate this dragon elephant Tathagata Prajna Buddha body to the 9th level of perfection. From the Buddha statue particle splitting into 2, it split 9 times in a row, and now it is covered with dragons and elephants, surrounded by distance. Although Wu Yu is still the 8-head mysterious immortal, his combat power has increased rapidly. Even though thousands of years have passed in the floating tower, in fact Wu Yu only spent 19 years. Wu Yu was also within this time. When he spent most of his time on the way of time-changing speed, he finally successfully understood the 5th level of Somersault Cloud. The 4th level, the Immortal Cloud Realm, transformed again and reached the 5th level, the Sky Cloud Realm. For Wu Yu, the power of Tianyun Realm is no less than that of the autonomous world for the time being. It is even equivalent to Wu Yu owning an autonomous world. Of course, when he has a truly independent world in the future, there will definitely be other changes. The mysteries of the Tianyun realm are endless. Somersault Cloud can be said to be the first of the 4 great magical powers. The Taixu Immortal Road is finally about to open. Next, all those who have the Immortal King's order rush to the Chang'an Sanctuary. In half a month, the Chang'an Sanctuary will be opened, and only those with the Immortal King's order can enter. The journey from the 9 immortal cities to Chang'an Holy Land became the final opportunity for the Immortal Lords to intercept the Immortal King's order. Along the way, there will be many casualties every time, and there will also be a large number of Immortal Lords who fall into the traps of others. The fighting are not the Immortal Palace that people imagined at all. The most thrilling time has arrived. At this time, everyone in Gumo camp felt a little nervous. Wu Yu knew that he had made great progress. Before setting off, while Su Zidong was still encouraging everyone, he stood up and said, "Brothers and sisters, I want to use the method last time to send you to the Chang'an Holy Land alone. Otherwise, if we move forward as a group, the goal will be too big." In fact, Su Zidong planned to let everyone enter Daoshan Fairy City together, and he led them there quickly. What did you do last time? Everyone remembered that last time Wu Yu's body became smaller and his speed was terrifying, and he brought them here from Shenayan Fairy City. That's right. Everyone, please take a look. Wu Yu suddenly transformed, and the heaven and earth shrank rapidly. In the end, Wu Yu was only a small person of less than half an inch. If you don't look carefully, it would be difficult to notice. And after his body became smaller, no matter what you do, it's very convenient. I'm on my way, or Wu Yu's on my way, what do you think? Su Zidong asked everyone to choose. Yang Wenlin said, of course it's Wu Yu. Your goal is too big and your speed may not be as fast as his. In the past 10 years, his progress has been obvious to all. Now I'm afraid I won't be his match. I also choose Wu Yu, haha. Everyone laughed. Okay, you bunch of bastards, you want to force me to step down, Su Zidong laughed. That's right. I've already seen you dislike me. It's my turn to be the boss. Even Qin Chuan was joking. After laughing for a while, everyone was ready to set off. Su Zidong said, Wu Yu, then the task of escorting everyone to Chang'an Sanctuary will be left to you. There are too many people intercepting along the way, so you have to be more careful. Wu Yu nodded. Set off. Everyone entered his floating tower together, and Wu Yu first came out of the Immortal Inn in a normal size. Although it was still a stable Shenan Immortal City, the smell of blood actually spread in the air. Many people were in the Immortal Inn outside. The people who came out looked malicious. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1342. Xianxian. The entire Shenan Immortal City was shrouded in evil spirits, and everyone suspected that someone else had the Immortal King order. When Wu Yu came out, many people focused on him. But after discovering that Wu Yu was a Xianxian, they were a little disappointed. Xianxian, even if he had the Immortal King order, would be useless, and he was still a long way from becoming an Immortal King. Wu Yu didn't look like someone who had the Immortal King order. Get out of here. Maybe there was only one chance. They had to lock onto someone they thought might have the Immortal King order, follow him out of Shenan Immortal City, and then take action. Time was running out, and they had to rush to Shenan Immortal City. Although Wu Yu didn't look back, he knew that when they saw that he seemed to be leaving the city, many people followed him secretly. There were still many immortals who thought that he might have the Immortal King order. However, Wu Yu naturally had a way. He suddenly turned and entered a place that could not be seen at the corner of the street, and directly jumped out of the Shenan Immortal City with the somersault cloud, instead of going out through the city gate. In this way, those immortals who saw him coming out of the inn lost his trace. At this time, Wu Yu quickly shrank his body, and became as small as a bee with the law of heaven and earth, and then flew towards the center of Kongjin heaven, the Kongjin Holy Land, like an arrow from a bow. He controlled the somersault cloud, shuttled through the void, and constantly shuttled between the void and the universe. With the 3 times speed of the law of heaven and earth, it was indeed very fast, and might be faster than the immortals of the 7th and 8th realms. If Su Zidong was in a hurry, he might be intercepted, but Wu Yu was indeed much safer. He quickly approached the direction of the Kongjin Holy Land. Along the way, Wu Yu did see countless battles and countless traps. Those trap immortal formations were extremely terrifying. Wu Yu was trapped several times and escaped with the somersault cloud. It can be said that the somersault cloud is extremely important. If it weren't for this magical power, Wu Yu would have died countless times. The entire Kongjin heaven was caught in a crazy fight, and Wu Yu even saw a large number of fresh immortal corpses. However, now he must quickly reach the Kongjin Holy Land, otherwise it will be bad to delay the important things. The opening time of the Kongjin Holy Land will not be too long. Along the way, Wu Yu saw a lot of top-level 9-realm immortal lords. The Kongjin Holy Land is magnificent. Along the way, Wu Yu approached the Kongjin Holy Land without any danger. Except for him, the 9-realm immortal lords may be intercepted or even ambushed and lose the immortal king order. The Kongjin Holy Land was shrouded in a huge dark yellow light cover. Through the light cover, you can vaguely see the magnificent palace of the Eastern Kongjin Holy Emperor. Finally, Wu Yu arrived here on the day when the Kongjin Holy Land was opened. Next, the Kongjin Holy Land will be open for half a month and will be closed after half a month. Those who have not arrived will have their immortal king order wasted. Wu Yu and his team are considered safe and came early. Outside the Kongjin Holy Land, there is an area where fighting is prohibited. Coming to this area is considered safe. However, outside this range, a large number of immortals gathered. They obviously did not have the immortal king order, and they were all waiting for someone to approach here. Every one of them was like a wolf. When Wu Yu came here, although he was small, he was still discovered. Basically, in the first moment, a large number of top masters rushed towards him. Wu Yu was shocked and quickly jumped in with the somersault cloud. This range was easier to control, and he happened to appear in the range where fighting was prohibited. Safe. Seeing this, Su Zidong sighed and said, "If it were me, it seems that we can't come in with the immortal king order, unless we pretend to be without the immortal king order and sneak in. No one wants to write on his face that I have the immortal king order, so even the 9 realms immortal kings have to be cautious." However, coming here already means that he has succeeded. Wu Yu asked them all to come out of the floating life tower. The people outside looked at them and were very jealous, because there were 9 of them, and at this time, Su Zidong took out 9 immortal king orders and distributed them to everyone. Wu Yu finally got the immortal king order. It was a strange token that could never be imitated and could only be used once. "Hold the immortal king order and follow me into the Chang'an Holy Land," Su Zidong said with a smile on his face. Okay. Everyone was very happy. Su Zidong strode forward, and the people in the Gumo camp smiled as they prepared to step into the Chang'an Holy Land, holding the immortal king order and crossing the immortal formation. Wu Yu was also about to go in, when he suddenly saw a familiar person in the crowd outside. Even though he was disguised at the time, Wu Yu could still tell that this person was the one sent by the Luxian Palace to assassinate him. He happened to be here. Of course, it is possible that he was also looking for the immortal king order and wanted to enter the Taixu immortal road. Because he was staring at Wu Yu in an incredible way, Wu Yu noticed him. That person now had no immortal king order and could not come in here, so he could only look at Wu Yu with murderous intent. Wu Yu sneered at him and said, "Tell Tianming Longjun that he spent too little money. When I come out of here, he will have to ask the immortal king to kill me." The other party was a little surprised to find that Wu Yu actually recognized him. He sneered, "Don't brag. It's only 100 years. I will wait for you here. When the time comes, we will see if your ability to escape is still so powerful. That's a deal." Don't leave here, Wu Yu smiled. Now, he is certain to kill this person, let alone 100 years later. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. He was just a foot away from the fighting range. To be honest, he had not found Wu Yu in the past 20 years, and he was already disappointed. He didn't expect to try the luck of the Immortal King's order here, and suddenly saw Wu Yu. I will never leave. Is this the killer of Immortal Killing Palace? Su Zidong asked in a low voice. Wu Yu nodded. However, it is still important to enter Chang'an Sanctuary. There is no need to waste time here. Wu Yu looked at the man with a sneer again, and then entered Chang'an Sanctuary with Su Zidong and the others. You must hold the Immortal King order to enter. When the Immortal King token touched the Immortal formation, it began to melt, and a passage was formed. Wu Yu quickly entered the passage and passed through the dim yellow Immortal formation. In the blink of an eye, the Immortal King token in his hand had already disappeared, and he has entered the Chang'an Holy Domain. The Immortal King's order can only be used this time. Since you have come in, it is impossible to go out again now. Of course, after spending so much effort to get in, it is impossible to escape at this time. When I came in, I saw that although it was only the first day it opened and it had not been 10 hours yet, there were already huge crowds of people inside. This was a huge square. People had to wait here for half a month until Chang'an Sanctuary closed. Taizhou Immortal Road will be opened. This square is extremely huge and endless, and it will not be a problem to accommodate 100 million people. Now the place is bustling with people, countless immortals gather here, there are probably tens of millions of immortals, it is really a forest of strong people, it is suffocating. The earlier they come in, the more powerful it is that these immortal lords are more powerful, which means that they are likely to be the ones who can get the Immortal King seal. Private fights are absolutely prohibited here, otherwise no matter who it is, they will be kicked out and their efforts will be ruined. Above the sky, there are hundreds of Immortal Kings under the command of the Eastern Chang'an Saint Emperor, patrolling the sky. Their expressions are serious and murderous, adding to the terrifying solemnity. Obviously, the Immortal Kings are in such a state. Under the suppression, these many Immortal Kings must stay for a month. Even if you encounter life and death enemies, now is not the time to take action. Everyone has worked hard to get here, so of course they won't mess around. They all followed me and were chased around. If you get lost here, it's hard to find. They gathered together and stayed in a corner. They finally arrived at this dream place. Everyone was a little excited. After all, this was a grand event that could shock the entire heaven. Wu Yu was also waiting patiently. Suddenly he heard someone not far away saying, "That swilling immortal lord doesn't even know the most basic common sense, and he actually brought other people with him in that creation artifact. Although they were just his wife and children, they were still alive. Of course, only one person can enter Kongjin Sanctuary per Immortal King token, so his Immortal King token was wasted. The Immortal King token was dissolved, but no one came in, and was isolated. He was probably crying at this time. You don't even know this? How could the Immortal formation in Chang'an Sanctuary not even be able to detect that there is a living person in the Immortal artifact of creation? How stupid is that? I remember that only the gods of all things can come in, right? After all, it seems that they don't care about the gods of all things." After hearing this, Wu Yu's eyes darkened. He actually forgot this important thing. Nanshan Wanjiao and the others are still in the Fusion Tower. Moreover, the two of them also followed him in. It is equivalent to an Immortal King order, bringing 3 people with him. But the key is that they have already come in, instead of being excluded from the Immortal formation. Why can you come in? Nanshan Wanjiao and the others didn't know about this before, and they didn't think about it. Don't know. It may be that your fusion tower is so powerful that you can avoid scrutiny, or it may be that the two of us have special inheritance and are not easily detected, Nanshan Wanjiao asked. It's all possible. If it's these two, that's fine. I hope there won't be a third possibility, Wu Yu said. But he also felt that there could not be a third kind. This huge immortal formation needed to be opened by the Immortal King order. It was normal for mistakes to happen occasionally. He was really lucky to be able to enter smoothly. It won't be the same as that Immortal Lord Swilling. They're all in anyway, haha. Nanshan Wanjiao smiled. They are indeed inseparable from Wu Yu now. In this heaven, they do not have the strength to protect themselves yet, which is considered a relatively difficult stage. He asked Su Zidong about this matter, and Su Zidong also said, the immortal artifact of creation cannot hide people. Otherwise, we would just need an immortal king order. But it is said that there are also some powerful people who specialize in making top-level immortal creation artifacts. It's a weapon to bring people in, but with this skill and that powerful strength, just ask for a few more immortal king tokens. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1343. The floating life tower is still a rather mysterious artifact of creation, and Wu Yu has not fully used it yet. It's possible that the secret lies in the Tower of Floating Life. Among the hundreds of millions of immortal kings, Wu Yu is indeed a nobody, so if he brings 2 more people, no one will trouble him. Since he has taken advantage of the loophole, he will put this matter aside and concentrate on the next 100 years. Time, the fight for the Immortal King Seal. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. I heard that many top Emperor Immortals and their heirs will come to participate in the competition for the Immortal King Seal this time. I've also heard that, for example, the daughter of King Chiguo of the 4 Heavenly Kings, Mouji, is said to be the Immortal Lord of the 9 Realms, but has the fighting power of an Immortal King, which is quite terrifying. After coming in, I heard that most of the people around me were discussing various top powerhouses and top immortal lords, the most glorious group of people among the hundreds of millions of immortal lords. In the Chang'an Holy Domain, more and more immortal monarchs gathered, and it became more and more crowded. Wu Yu's eyes were opened. In his eyes, the level of immortal lords is still top level, but here they are like cabbages that no one wants, with immortal lords everywhere. Also, everyone is nervous, restless, etc. Half a month will soon pass. Almost hundreds of millions of immortal lords have gathered, and Chang'an Sanctuary will soon be closed. At this moment, on the horizon of the sky, many immortals descended, and above the clouds and mist, many top emperor immortals gradually appeared above. First, a long-bearded emperor immortal appeared, hidden in the clouds and mist, looming. As soon as he appeared, hundreds of millions of immortals fell to the ground and shouted, "Greetings to Emperor Zhao Gongming." It turned out to be Zhao Gongming, one of the 36 generals in heaven. The moment he appeared, other top emperor immortals appeared next to him, all belonging to the ranks of the 36 heavenly generals. For example, the second one was the famous emperor immortal Li Qingtian. Around them, there were many immortal kings and juniors. It was obvious that they had brought their heirs to participate and support the holy emperor Dongfang Chang'an. Wu Yu followed Su Zidong and the others and just wanted to meet these famous top gods. Anyway, one after another, it was dazzling. And its weight is getting heavier and heavier. For example, the 5 sacred emperors who appeared later caused shock among the immortal lords as soon as they appeared. Wu Yu, the 5 sacred monarchs, were shaped like mountains, vast and boundless. They were giants just like Wu Yu's changes in the heavens and the earth. Greetings to Emperor Sitian Zaya Sheng. Meet Emperor Zhongtian Chongsheng. Although the Emperor of the Five Mountains is not as good as the Holy Emperor of the Five Directions, he is still a famous immortal in heaven. Next, there are the 5 Qi True Lords, such as, Southern Yinghuo Huad True Lord, Western Taibei Jinda Zhenjun, and others are also the top gods in heaven, and they can go to the Lingxiao Palace. Of course, these dozens of top gods are still a little dim after the next two appear. The first is the ancient giant spirit god. As soon as it appeared, it occupied half of the sky. It was really huge, standing proudly in the sky, even boundless, and the divine body was 10,000 feet high. Appearing at the same time as the ancient giant spirit god was the king of the kingdom, one of the 4 heavenly kings that Wu Yu had ever seen. The king of the kingdom of control holds a pipa, and he is majestic and domineering. Although he is not big, he still suppresses the giant spirit god among all the immortals. Wu was the most dominant one when the two of them appeared. All the emperors and immortals had to bow to them. Wu Yu also saw the Moug again. She was next to King Shizhou. Her appearance was so charming that she could admire the 8,000 heavenly palaces. In her arms was the little black cat, which was nestling docilely in her arms. Yet 11 looked at it. However, they were still unhappy, and Lalun was also very sad. After all, Moug came out halfway and snatched away the Wanhe cat they were about to buy. Next to her father, the aura of contempt for heaven and earth was indeed so majestic that people could only look up at her. Even Wu Yu felt that this woman was a genius of a generation, so she was naturally proud. All the heavenly emperors and immortals arrived one by one. At this time, the main leader had not yet appeared. They talked first, but they were all compliments. The immortals below could only watch and envy them. Everyone wanted to join their group. Among them, these are all the top immortals in ancient times. How difficult is it to reach their immortal realm? It is the peak that even the 36 heavenly generals and ordinary immortal kings cannot reach. The great emperor Sitian Zaisheng said, "I didn't expect that the daughter of the heavenly king Chiguo, at such a young age, has already reached the realm of the immortal lord of the 9 realms, which is really admirable." The heavenly king of controller state smiled and said, "The heavenly palace is vast and there are many powerful people. My little girl is just average. Otherwise, I would not have let her come to participate in the seal of the immortal king and have some experience. It is the son of the giant spirit god brother who is a genius. In terms of combat power, if it surpasses my daughter, these hundreds of millions of immortal kings must be number 1. Oh! The giant spirit god, the ancient Holmium god, has reached such a level," asked the southern Yinghuo Hua Zhenjun. Next to the giant spirit god, there is an existence with an equally huge divine body. It is also hidden in the fairy mist of the giant spirit god. It cannot be seen clearly, but its eyes contain a majestic ancient aura. Others cannot said, Wu Yu thought it was a top immortal king. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be just an immortal lord. Quincy has made some progress, but she is no match for the charming daughter of King Drida. Besides, there are countless divine talents in heaven, including these hundreds of millions of immortal kings. Maybe there is someone who can surpass Quanzi. The giant spirit god is humble. The immortals laughed. Each of the emperors who came to support the event brought many children with them, such as Gu Ru Shenjun and Moug. The children of the gods of their status are considered the strongest to participate in the Battle of Taixu Immortal Road. The emperors who are more top level than them basically create top level immortal king seals by themselves and give them to their children. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Of course, they can also forge, but they believe that they are not as top level as the Eastern Kongjin Saint Emperor. For example, the heavenly King Chiguo can forge the 7th or 8th grade immortal king seal with time, but Moug's goal is obviously the top 9th grade immortal king seal. Although there may be only 2 or 3 such immortal king seals in Taixu Immortal Road, their goal is these 2 or 3. These emperors and immortals were born in the top of the heavenly palace, which is really enviable. They probably can't understand that Wu Yu, who has climbed from a tiny existence to today's realm. I really envy them. Even Su Zidong said the same thing. Even if they participate in the Taixu Immortal Road, they may not need the Immortal King order. They can participate directly by being brought in by their parents. Of course, their strength is naturally top-notch. I didn't expect that the original Phoenix Emperor of the Eternal Phoenix clan is also here. The Immortals were a little surprised. Wu Yu looked to the east and saw that in the distance, there was a fire rising into the sky. In the distance, he saw countless phoenixes. It was the breath from the immortal beasts, which was indeed extremely magnificent. In fact, there were also many immortal beasts among the hundreds of millions of immortal kings. Basically, they acted alone, and there were still few brought by the original Phoenix Emperor himself. The original Phoenix Emperor was one of the 6 supremes of the Eternal Phoenix clan, with a status comparable to the 9 Dragon Emperors. At this time, he was extremely far away from Wu Yu. He could only see a giant bird comparable to the giant spirit god, and next to the giant bird, there were countless small birds flying, which could be said to be extremely spectacular. Yuanzu, meet the emperors and immortals. Yuanzu Phoenix Emperor, you're welcome. I haven't seen you for many years. There are many young talents in the Eternal Phoenix clan again. Chiguo Tianwang, you are too kind. We immortal beasts live in a corner and watch the sky from a well. How can we have the courage of the emperors and immortals? Over the years, the Taixu Immortal Road has been opened. It is still rare for such an extreme existence to bring it here personally. The status of this Yuanzu Phoenix Emperor is no worse than that of Chiguo Tianwang. Yuanzu Phoenix Emperor, I invited you suddenly, a pure and magnificent voice shook in the central sky. Wu Yu looked up in shock, but was immediately suppressed and lowered his head. Indistinctly, he only saw an old man in a white robe. The old man was dressed as an emperor. His momentum was steady, like the vast sky, endless, which made people feel awe and tremble. Even if they were close to the ground, they would feel awe. Greetings to the Eastern Kongjin Saint Emperor. It was indeed one of the 5 saints, the Eastern Kongjin Saint Emperor. My fellow immortals, no need to be polite. Welcome to my Chang'an Holy Land. The history of the Eastern Chang'an Holy Emperor is probably not less than that of the Jade Emperor. Of course, compared with the Jade Emperor who commands the 8,000 heavenly palaces, the Eastern Chang'an Holy Land is still a little inferior, but the 5 directions Holy Emperors are also overlords. I didn't expect the Holy Emperor to preside over it personally, which makes us panic, said the Heavenly King Chiguo. The Heavenly King has come in person, and my Chang'an Holy Land is also glorious. When these beings speak, hundreds of millions of immortals just need to bow their heads and listen. However, the Eastern Kongjin Saint Emperor did not waste words and said, there is only a quarter of an hour left before the Kongjin Saint domain will be closed. At that time, I will open the Taixu Immortal Road and pick up my fellow immortals 100 years later. Before that, an old friend has arrived. Speaking of this, next to the Eastern Kongjin Saint Emperor, there appeared a general in white armor. The general was so imposing and full of fighting spirit that he overwhelmed the heavenly King Chiguo, the ancient giant spirit god, and the Yuanzu Huang Emperor. It turned out to be the commander of the Endless Galaxy's Endless Immortal Army, Marshal Tianyuo. It turned out to be this person. Because his name was similar to Marshal Tianpeng, Wu Yu also paid attention to him, but he couldn't raise his head at this time, and couldn't see clearly what Marshal Tianyuo looked like. Great Marshal Tianyuo has actually come in person. A cheerful voice came from the sky, and the man said, as the opponent of the immortals, I am the Endless Immortal Army. Naturally, I have to give you a warning. The immortals below should listen carefully. My Endless Immortal Army is not easy to deal with. You must be extremely careful. My Endless Immortal Army has prepared countless valuable gifts for you. Haha, great Marshal Tianyuo, Please don't scare the children. Dongfang Kongjin Saint Emperor laughed, and then said, however, this time the competition for the Immortal King Seal is indeed a little special, and this special thing is related to the Jade Emperor above the 8,000 heavens. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1344. Hundreds of millions of immortal lords were originally excited, waiting for the opening of the Taixu Immortal Road. The words of the Eastern Chang'an Holy Emperor actually involved the Jade Emperor in the 8,000 heavens, causing shock and uproar for a while. Wu Yu was also attracted. He remembered that in the past, the fight for the Immortal King Seal was all the responsibility of Dongfang Chang'an Saint Emperor. The Jade Emperor was aloof and would never be related to this Chang'an heaven. And this matter, probably had not been announced before today. Therefore, when Wu Yu looked around, he saw that all the immortal kings had expressions of shock on their faces, and then they became even more excited. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow circled M. Even looking up at the sky, all the emperors and immortals seemed to be a little surprised at this time. Emperor Sitian Zaisheng said, the Jade Emperor is actually paying attention to the matter of the Immortal King Seal. The other gods also said a few words, and it seemed that they were basically unaware of this matter. However, Wu Yu discovered that the heavenly King Chiguo and the ancient giant spirit god did not speak. The heavenly King Chiguo was the guard in front of the Jade Emperor. He might have heard some news, so he brought his daughter Moug to come to Kongjin Heavenly Palace in person. In the past, during the Immortal King Seal campaign, no big shot like King Drida would usually come. Now, everyone is paying attention and listening to Dongfang Chang'an Holy Emperor's announcement. What is so special about this Immortal King Seal conquest that the Jade Emperor is paying attention to? The Holy Emperor of Dongfang Chang'an did not show off, and said directly, there are 9 levels of Immortal King Seals, all of which are Taixu divine artifacts. If there are 1 billion magic arrays, it will be a first-level Immortal King Seal. If it reaches 2 billion magic arrays, it will be a level 1 Immortal King Seal. The second-grade Immortal King Seal, which reaches 900,000, is the 9th grade Immortal King Seal, which is the highest grade. However, today, the Jade Emperor has nothing to do and occasionally creates, and forges a formation that is only 100,000. The Immortal King Seal of the Billion Array is called the 10th grade Immortal King Seal because of its specialness. The Jade Emperor said that those who obtain this 10th grade Immortal King Seal will become emperors and immortals in the future. Now in the endless galaxy, whether you can get it depends on your luck. This is simply a sub-billion Taixu artifact. There is only one magic circle missing, which is tens of billions of magic circles. If it reaches tens of billions, it is not the Immortal King Seal, but the weapons used by the emperors and immortals, inherited from ancient times, and even born directly from heaven and earth. It is connected with the beginning of heaven and earth, so it is called the Era artifact. This shows how terrifying this 10th grade Immortal King Seal is. I originally thought that the 9th grade was the highest, but I didn't expect that the Jade Emperor was still interested in forging the 10th grade Immortal King Seal. I didn't expect that it would be placed directly in this endless galaxy, and all the Immortal Kings present would have a chance to compete. The 10th grade Immortal King Seal is terrifying, Dongfang Kongjin Holy Emperor has already said it. It's very simple, if you get it, you will have no worries about becoming an Emperor Immortal. Worry-free eternity. Throughout the ages, until now, there have been countless immortal kings in heaven. How many of them have become new Emperor Immortals? At least within $10 million, there is not even one Emperor Immortal, not one immortal person. The road to eternal life is not that easy. In this heavenly palace, all the emperors and immortals are important ministers of the heavenly court. They all have official positions, and their number has hardly increased. However, becoming an Emperor Immortal basically means that this is a treasure of eternal life. So, how can we not drive people crazy? Wu Yu was shocked. Su Zidong was suffocating and said, if Holy Emperor Dongfang Chang'an announced this news not today, but 100 years ago, then the immortal Lord of Chang'an heaven would not be tens of billions, but more than 100 billion, and we are waiting. I'm afraid it's impossible to get the immortal King Seal. This is the power of this 10th grade immortal King Seal. As soon as this news came out, all the 8,000 heavenly palaces would be shaken. The opportunity to become an immortal emperor, the opportunity to honor one's ancestors lies in this endless galaxy. Wu Yu could see that the eyes of all the immortal monarchs were different at this moment. They were eyes that were in a state of restlessness, unable to control their inner excitement, and extremely longing. It was as if there was a raging fire going crazy in the chests of every immortal monarch. Burning, everyone's heart is a little more crazy. There are not many people who can calm down in this 10th grade immortal King Seal. Even if Wu Yu looked up at the sky, the descendants of the Emperor Immortals were extremely excited at this time in order to reach the height of their ancestors. Even Moug seemed to have just learned the news, and some flames burned on King Qing's face. A raging fire burns in the chests of 100 million immortal kings. The Holy Emperor Dongfang Chang'an poured some cold water on it and said, don't get too excited, and don't aim too high. With your strength, only a few of you will really have a chance at the 10th grade immortal King Seal. I have established a system for this purpose, a very difficult test, and I bet to the Jade Emperor that no one will be able to take away this 10th grade immortal King Seal within 50,000 years, and you are just the first batch. Within 50,000 years, the Taizhou Immortal Road will be open 10 times. This means that it is basically impossible to obtain the 10th grade Immortal King Seal in one go. If the Taizhou Immortal Road is opened in the future, latecomers will still have a chance. It's not that the 10th grade Immortal King Seal belongs to someone among the hundreds of millions of Immortal Lords. Furthermore, there are 50,000 Immortal King Seals in the endless galaxy. Only one of the 2,000 or 3,000 of you can obtain the Immortal King Seal. Most of the Immortal Lords are better off keeping their feet on the ground. That's it, everyone. Take charge yourself. What the Eastern Kongjin Saint Emperor meant was that although the 10th grade Immortal King Seal was attractive, it had nothing to do with most people. If you aim too high, you will lose even the most basic things. The Eastern Kongjin Saint Emperor was sure that no one could reach it within 50,000, which showed that he was very confident in the test, and he had promised it in front of the Jade Emperor. Therefore, the next battle of the Immortal King Seal, the news of the 10th grade Immortal King Seal has been spread, and it will be really popular. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Yes, we are also down to earth, just hope to get a Immortal King Seal, then we will be thankful, Su Zidong said to everyone. There are 100 million Immortal Kings, many strong people, and only one person out of 2,000 or 3,000 people may get the Immortal King Seal, or even less. In such a world, you must have self-knowledge. Wu Yu also understood that at least this time, the so-called 10th grade Immortal King Seal was unlikely to be destined to him. He only needs an Immortal King Seal, no matter what grade it is, to complete his goal. Before entering the Chang'an Holy Land, he had sent a message to Luo Bin, telling her that he was about to enter a 100-year battle and asked her not to worry. After receiving Luo Bin's reply, Wu Yu kept it well. During the 100 years in Taizhou Immortal Road, he could always ease his longing. In this Taizhou Immortal Road, it is difficult to get the Immortal King Seal, and it is even more difficult to keep 100 years. We must lower our posture. In many cases, saving our lives is the first priority. Do you understand? Don't force things that don't belong to you, Su Zidong reminded again before the Taizhou Immortal Road opened. Boss, we understand, and we are also going in to broaden our horizons. Okay. In the thrilling, Dongfang Chang'an Holy Emperor announced that the door to Taizhou Immortal Road would open immediately. However, it was not him who opened it, but the great Marshal Tianyu beside him. When the great Marshal Tianyu stretched out his hand, ripples suddenly appeared in the sky in a corner of the Chang'an Holy Land. With the center of the ripples as the core, the starlight shone suddenly, and a vortex composed of starlight continued to grow and appeared between the heaven and earth. This is the door to the Taizhou Immortal Road. Entering the Taizhou Immortal Road is different from entering other places before. At this time, there is no escape immortal formation on the body. It must wait for 100 years. The Eastern Chang'an Saint Emperor will personally bring all the immortals out. During this period, they are not allowed to leave, and their life and death are determined by fate. The fight for the immortal king order can result in hundreds of millions of casualties, not to mention the fight for the immortal king seal. Every time in the Taizhou Immortal Road, the fighting is very tragic. Among the 100 million immortals who enter, not many return safely. The heavenly court does not oppose this kind of competition, because the more competition there is, the more real strong people can be born. Go in. With the magnificent voice of the Eastern Chang'an Saint Emperor, the 100 million immortals in the Chang'an Holy Land rushed into the starlight vortex, and the group closest to them entered first. Of course, after all, there is 100 years, and the time gained by slowly competing and entering first is not much. Everything depends on strength, so although there is a little scrambling, a certain order is maintained. And the stronger the person, the more confident he is, the less anxious he is. On the contrary, those who have no confidence in themselves are anxious and can't wait to enter and start fighting. Let's go to. Everyone stay close to each other, don't disperse. Su Zidong said. After all, there are hundreds of millions of immortals moving forward. Too many people are easy to get lost in the chaos. Their strength is not too strong and they belong to the bottom, so they dare not separate. Looking up, every moment, tens of thousands of immortals rush into the huge starlight vortex and disappear. In less than half an hour, all 100 million immortals can enter. Marshal Tianyuo, what do you think of this group of immortals? Asked the Eastern Chang'an Saint Emperor. Marshal Tianyuo said, it's a little better than usual, but the difference is not too big. It depends on whether the daughter of the heavenly King Chiguo and the god of Guru can bring some surprises. Anyway, my endless immortal army has already sharpened their knives and is waiting for them. Time passed. Wu Yu was in the team, queuing and walking slowly. Finally, the huge starlight vortex was in front of him. The immortals began to fly and entered the Taizhou Immortal Road. Make way. Suddenly, a stern shout came from behind. Wu Yu and others looked back and saw hundreds of people with flames around their bodies, with overwhelming momentum and clothes full of phoenix patterns, flying over their heads. It's the Immortal Phoenix Clan. These Immortal Phoenix Clan are all immortal beasts, and they are all united. There are hundreds of them as one. Basically, they are all immortal kings of the 7 realms. Hundreds of people together are really a terrifying team. When they unite and act together, scattered immortals like Wu Yu must give way. Wu Yu's eyes suddenly caught one of them, who was obviously the highest status and surrounded by everyone. That should be the daughter of the original Phoenix Emperor. The little daughter. When Wu Yu saw her appearance, his brain was shocked, as if struck by lightning. After 12 o'clock today, there are 3 chapters, which are considered tomorrow's updates. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1345. The Immortals of the Eternal Phoenix Clan march in order. Even birds flying in groups in the sky have their own rules. The one brought by the original Phoenix Emperor himself, who is said to be his youngest daughter, was surrounded by a group of immortals from the 9 realms and sat in the middle, high above. One of the little princesses of the Eternal Phoenix Clan is obviously also a celebrity this time. She was too far away from Wu Yu before, so Wu Yu didn't see her. Now, with a quick glance, the other party quickly entered the starlight vortex and disappeared, but Wu Yu just saw that the appearance of the little princess was exactly the same as Nangong Wei. Nangong Wei, how is it possible? she is still in the mortal world. Wu Yu was shocked. He saw an unbelievable scene and stopped for a moment, feeling extremely shocked. To be honest, he almost forgot Nangongwei after being in the heaven for decades. Now he suddenly saw her appearance here, which was a huge shock to his heart. It's absolutely impossible. Besides, she is obviously above the 7 realms immortal lord, far more than me. I have the sky-devouring beast, and I am still a mysterious immortal, so it's impossible. Maybe they just look similar. He was in a state of shock. What's wrong, Wu Yu? Seeing Wu Yu suddenly stop, the people in the ancient Mo camp noticed that his face had changed a little, so they asked hurriedly. Wu Yu calmed down and asked everyone, who was the person who was protected in the center of the Eternal Phoenix clan just now. Yang Wenlin smiled and said, "You are stupid, of course it's the youngest daughter of the original Phoenix Emperor, whose title is, Fire Dance Phoenix Lord." Fire Dance Phoenix Lord? Has she always been in this heavenly palace? Wu Yu asked. That's natural, but this Fire Dance Phoenix Lord, as the daughter of the original Phoenix Emperor, is indeed a genius. Although she has only been born for more than 1 UN and is still young, she has reached the 7th level of the realm Lord God realm. She is quite a genius. If she is not young, she will be no less than that demon Yuji in the future, Yang Wenlin said enviously. Oh, I really envy them. They are so beautiful and are all top geniuses. They may become top immortal kings or even emperor immortals in the future. I will be satisfied if I can become a little immortal king in the future. Yang Wenlin envied Huo Wu Huangjun and Moug very much. More than 1 UN of time, hundreds of thousands of years. Are you sure she has been practicing in the heaven for hundreds of thousands of years? Wu Yu asked. Everyone in Gumoying looked at each other, and Huangfu Yujun smiled and said, otherwise, Huo Wu Huangjun is the treasure of the immortal Phoenix clan. Of course, he was raised by the original ancestor Phoenix Emperor since he was a child. It is said that he rarely leaves the immortal Phoenix Emperor world. Wu Yu, what's the situation? Su Zidong asked. Wu Yu shook his head helplessly and said, I have seen a person with a face very similar to her in a world in the mortal world, so. After hearing this, everyone smiled. Qing Yuli said, there are countless creatures in this world, all with 1 nose, 1 mouth, and 2 eyes, and there are many people who look like me. I have seen people who look almost exactly like me. Yang Wenlin also laughed and said, if you can look similar to Huo Wu Huangjun, you are also a great beauty, but if you think about it carefully, although they look similar, the real difference is actually in temperament. No matter how beautiful a mortal is, compared with Huo Wu Huangjun, a proud daughter of heaven, they are not at the same level. Indeed. Wu Yu could only admit that Nangongwei was already very beautiful in his mind, but temperament is temperament, which is the aggregation of life level and status. Although it was just a glimpse just now, Huo Wu Huangjun was no worse than Moug, and it was obviously very different from Nangongwei in the mortal world. After all, he was also a genius in the heavenly court who had practiced for more than 1 UN. Maybe, it's just a coincidence, Wu Yu nodded. It was not convenient for him to go back to the mortal world to take a look, otherwise he would have to go to the world of Yama to confirm it. What are you doing in front of you? Hurry up and don't block the road at this time. Someone was dissatisfied with them staying where they were, and it was an 8 realms immortal lord. Su Zidong didn't want to offend anyone, so he hurriedly called Wu Yu to leave quickly. Everyone hurriedly rushed into the starlight vortex, but at this time, Wu Yu was still obsessed with the appearance of the Fire Dance Phoenix Lord in the glimpse just now. Is there really someone in this world who looks so similar? I haven't seen her for a long time. I wonder if she is doing well in the Yamafu world and whether she is close to becoming an immortal. Anyway, he often communicates with her in the Gumo world. Princess Yuyan has made great progress and there is no problem in becoming an immortal. Zhu Ying and the others have also caught up, and Wu Yu is also quite good. In time, Wu Yu will be stable in the heavenly court. He wants to bring them directly to the heavenly court so that they can become immortals quickly. Once they become immortals, it is not a problem to live for 120,000 years, and then they can come slowly. In front of him, the stars are shining, and Wu Yu seems to fall into the galaxy and float with the stars. Don't disperse. Su Zidong held the people around him, and the 9 of them held each other and moved forward in the floating stars. This was a passage. Suddenly, light came from the front. They passed through a vortex and finally stabilized. Wu Yu looked around. He was now suspended in the air. He didn't need to fly, but directly vortexed. The world around him had no fairy spirit at all, and there was no breath of anything. Looking around, whether it was up, down, left, right, front, and back, it was an endless dark space. This was the endless galaxy and the Taixu Immortal Road. In this endless darkness, the only thing is a vast river in front of you. The river is like a knife, tearing the dark sky into 2 halves, and the light is extremely bright. And if you look closely, the vast river is actually composed of countless stars, and the light of the river is the light of the stars. This star river is the endless star river, and it is also the place where the endless immortal army is stationed and trained. Of course, in the past 100 years, it is the place where the immortal king seal is fought for. It is said that there are tens of millions of stars in this endless galaxy. The 50,000 immortal king seals are hidden on these tens of millions of stars, existing in various forms, and there are various tests around them. Now, 100 million immortal lords are gradually arriving. Those who arrived first have already rushed to this endless galaxy to start looking for the immortal king seals. The Taixu Immortal Road just now dispersed many of us. Now it is spread all over the starry sky. It is estimated that they are now landing in the galaxy from all directions of this galaxy, evenly distributed throughout the endless galaxy. That's why we don't see many immortal lords around us. Wu Yu also found that they did not all pass through the starlight vortex, and hundreds of millions of immortal lords appeared in the same place, but were scattered throughout the starry sky, approaching the galaxy from all directions, and evenly distributed. If they didn't hold hands, they would obviously be divided into different places. The hand-holding is effective, which also shows that the fight for the immortal king seal also allows teamwork. For example, the hundreds of people in the Eternal Phoenix clan are obviously fighting in a group. There are even many 9-realm immortal lords in their team. It can be said that they are all unlucky to meet them. After all, the strongest here are all 9-realm immortal lords. No matter how strong the 9-realm immortal lords are, they will be defeated when they meet several of the other side. Therefore, everyone knows that the Eternal Phoenix clan, which has many strong people and is still united, is definitely the most terrifying one. In fact, for example, the children of the Emperor Immortals such as the Heavenly King of the State, must have a large group of people guarding them. The team should have at least dozens of people, and all of them are top elites. Because there is no age limit for the Immortal King Seal, many 9-realm immortal lords are actually old. I am afraid that their lifespan is close to the limit of the 9 UN. They are more eager for the Immortal King Seal than anyone else. Becoming an Immortal King, rejuvenating, and prolonging life is not a problem. Otherwise, even if they are 9-realm immortal lords, their lifespan limit is no different from that of the 9 UN Celestial Immortal. Only the Immortal King can live forever. Only the Emperor Immortal can be immortal. This is also the reason why so many immortal lords want to become the Immortal King, the Taixu Immortal Realm, understand the rules, and surpass the realm of the Lord God. Let's go. Su Zidong has been full of fighting spirit for a long time. At this time, he led the current Gu Mo camp, plus Wu Yu and 9 people, to the endless galaxy. Wu Yu was actually still thinking about the Fire Dance Phoenix lore just now, and he was a little absent-minded, and followed them on the road. After years of getting along, the 9 of them have already had a brotherly and sisterly friendship, and Wu Yu respects them very much. In fact, the closer you get to this endless galaxy, you will find that the distance between stars in this galaxy is basically quite far. At their speed, it takes at least 10 days for one star to reach another star, and it may take several months for the distant ones. There are tens of millions of stars here, so it can be seen that no matter who it is, there is no way to search all the stars. Hundreds of millions of immortal lords are distributed in this vast galaxy, and it is not crowded. 100 years is not too long. The endless galaxy seems not far away, but in fact, when everyone arrived at the first star locked by Su Zidong, half a month had passed. They finally arrived at the endless galaxy. Under their feet, there is a huge star, gray in color, with many pits and pits on it, and there are many traces of meteorites hitting it. There are many gray rocks piled on the surface, full of the frost of years. This star is huge. After its surface area is unfolded, it is probably half the size of the ancient Yanhuang domain. There is a vast fairy air on it, but in fact the environment is extremely harsh, the fairy air is turbulent, and it is not suitable for the weak to survive, so this endless galaxy is actually a barren land in the 8,000 heavenly palaces. There are numbers on the stars. They landed on this star named Xuanhuan 38,731 stars and began to search. There is no one else around here. Let's spread out and explore the entire star, Su Zidong ordered. There is strength in numbers. When I first came to this starry sky, I could see quite a few people around me. Later, everyone went in different directions. At least when I came to this area, I didn't see any other immortals, so I could search with confidence. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1346. On this star with an area of half the size of the Yanhuang ancient domain, the 9 people in the ancient Mo camp were completely separated, each responsible for an area. 100 years was very short, and they needed to speed up. What's so special about the place where the immortal king seal exists? Wu Yu asked. I don't know. Anyway, if there is something strange, you just use all your strength to kill it. It is said that the hiding methods of the immortal king seal are all kinds of strange, and there is no fixed method. Whether it can be triggered sometimes depends on luck. Anyway, everything is not fixed. Everything depends on fate. So that's it, Wu Yu laughed dumbly. But he also understood that if there was a fixed method, it would have been spread long ago, and it would not be so troublesome and hard to find the immortal king seal. Everyone, don't forget that I still have this magical power. Originally, the area that each person was responsible for was divided. Wu Yu saw that there were no immortals around, so he directly used the magical power of outside the lock clone. For a moment, his 100,000 clones spread out instantly, and Wu Yu asked them to quickly go to the entire star. This magical power is really like a miracle. With this magical power, we may find a fairy king seal. Qin Chuan couldn't help but admire Wu Yu when he saw countless of them. Haha, I really made a profit by bringing you in. With your magical power, we may get the fairy king seal. Su Zidong also laughed. Wu Yu is really useful to them. Seeing Wu Yu's magical power, they all laughed. My clones are not as sensitive as you, but it is easy to miss. Moreover, the star environment is bad, the fairy energy is violent, and these clones are all immortal bodies, so it is not very convenient to walk. The effect of 100,000 clones is not so exaggerated, so it is also important for Gu Moying and others to find it themselves. Anyway, it helps. Wu Yu, thank you very much, Yi said. Brothers and sisters, don't be polite to me. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't even be qualified to come here. Let's start looking without further ado. Okay. In fact, the Fairy King seal is really difficult. A star is only this big. If you really want to search carefully, you may have to spend a lot of time here. Moreover, even if the Immortal King seal is here, it may not be detected. The key is that among the tens of millions of stars, only 50,000 of them have the Immortal King seal. They may have searched for 100 years without seeing the Immortal King seal. Not only them, but for anyone, this probability is very high. Work in vain, and then wait for another 5,000 years. First risk your life to snatch the Immortal King seal, and then come in and work in vain. Therefore, in this boring search, it is very important to adjust your mentality. Everyone joins together, and the probability of finding it also increases. Wu Yu is indeed ready to act with them. He also wants to get a Immortal King seal for Su Zidong. Now that everyone is scattered, Wu Yu's 100,000 clones are spread all over the star. Of course, for this huge star, 100,000 people are not too many. One star can accommodate hundreds of millions of immortals. His original body also flies around, and his fiery eyes explore the world to find the special place that Su Zidong said. This world is the world, how can it be special? This search can be said to be quite boring. Fortunately, there are 100,000 clones. These 100,000 clones, up and down, make the overall efficiency much higher. I am just worried that the clones can't find the special features of the Immortal King seal. Once it is missed, it will be in vain. It seems that I still need to improve the law of heaven and earth. If there are 1,000,000 clones, it will be at least 10 times more efficient. This is the endless galaxy, not the Dragon Emperor Purgatory. This is much larger than the Dragon Emperor Purgatory. Before, Wu Yu thought that 100,000 clones were enough, and he did not continue to improve. Instead, he studied the fire eyes and the somersault cloud. Now it seems that in this vast endless galaxy, 1,000,000 clones are indeed important. Time passed day by day. Wu Yu used 100,000 clones and the communication fairy talisman to occasionally communicate with the other 8 people, but he did not find anything for the time being. They can meet Wu Yu's clones at any time. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Wu Yu felt that he had almost searched the star. His clones traveled through almost all the lands of the star, but found nothing. It may take more than 3,000 stars to find a Fairy King seal, and you may even miss it. It's so boring. Wu Yu had to sigh. If he used this time to practice, he could make a lot of progress. However, the Fairy King seal must be obtained. Just when he felt bored, Qin Chuan suddenly sent a communication fairy talisman, asking everyone to rush to him. By the way, Wu Yu was asked to put away the 100,000 clones to avoid attracting the attention of outsiders. Wu Yu was shocked. You asked me not to attract the attention of outsiders. Did you find something? He hurriedly did as he was told, and then flew towards Qin Chuan. His clone knew Qin Chuan's specific location, so he was basically the first to arrive because he was not far from Qin Chuan. He came to a flat land, which was a rare flat land in this bumpy star. It was very vast. Such a flat land could build a city here. Wu Yu remembered that his clone had been to this place before. He searched for a long time but found nothing. Just after Wu Yu came, Su Zidong also arrived. Others came one after another. Qin Chuan was a little excited. When most of the people came, he said, "This star is full of high mountains and deep ravines. It is rare to have such a flat land. I have been observing it for a while. This is definitely the special place you said." Su Zidong frowned and asked, "How special?" "I don't know either." Qin Chuan spread his hands. Everyone was a little disappointed. It turned out to be just nonsense. Jing Kaiwen touched his head and said, "The Immortal King seal is so rare. If we just search for the first star, the possibility of finding the Immortal King seal is too small. I don't think it will be shown." Why don't you change the stars? I guess everyone else is trying their luck and constantly changing the stars. They don't search so carefully. After all, they only have 100 years, which is not enough at all, Wu Xiao said. Wu Yu thought for a while and said, don't be anxious yet. After all, we still have to trust our own intuition. Since Brother Qin said that there is something special here, and we don't know what is special anyway, then there is no need for everyone to bomb together. Anyway, if you do it, no one will die. Su Zidong smiled and said, Wu Yu is right. Anyway, if there are people you don't like, just take action. Although it is unlikely, but if you do it thousands of times, maybe it will happen once. There won't be any losses anyway, it's just a way to vent. Okay. Everyone flew up into the sky and sacrificed the celestial artifact together. Su Zidong said, this Taixu Immortal Road is too big. I've been looking for it for so long, let alone 100 years, that I'm going crazy. Let's vent together. Damn the Immortal King's seal. Do it. Under his order, everyone almost gathered together to see the monstrous fairy city, the sword of mountains and rivers, the 9-domain thorn soul and other creation fairy weapons. At the same time, the fairy formation was activated, and Wu Yu also used the floating sword to display the great magic weapon. Splitting the universe formation, together with everyone, for a moment, the majestic power of the immortal fell from the sky and bombarded this flat land. Boom! The terrifying power almost shook the entire star. The smoke and dust were wiped out for a while, and the space was torn apart. After a while, you can see that the flat land was almost destroyed by everyone and turned into a huge basin. And this basin inside, it was completely bare and there was no immortal king seal. Everyone smiled, and Su Zidong said, sure enough, I have bad luck. This star is too unlucky. Let's change it to another one. There was indeed nothing gained, and everyone was disappointed with the stars, so together with Su Zidong, they turned around. Among the stars in the sky above their heads, Su Zidong chose another one and said, this one needs to shine, let's go directly there. Maybe there will be something to gain. Okay, let's go. Everyone flew up, broke out of the shackles of the stars, and flew into the starry sky. Suddenly, there was light coming from behind, and the dazzling light almost illuminated the void. Everyone looked back and was stunned. I saw the star under my feet, where they had just bombarded, suddenly shot out a beam of light, engulfing them, and this beam of light also extended forward. From a distance, it seemed that the star had an extra handle. Like, it's so dazzling. This is. I'm going, get down quickly. Su Zidong showed ecstasy and was the first to rush down. Wu Yu's golden eyes swept around and he vaguely saw that at the starting point of the light pillar, which was the flat land before, a huge fairy city seemed to have appeared. This light was exactly the shining light of the fairy city. With this vision, the immortal king seal must be in this immortal city. Hurry up, Qin Chuan was overjoyed. How is that possible? No one expected that the first star they searched might contain the immortal king seal. Generally speaking, it takes thousands of stars for one to have the immortal king seal. Therefore, the appearance of the fairy city below is incredible. And it just so happened that their brutal cracking method cracked the switch of the immortal king seal, allowing this immortal city to appear. Of course, there must be tests in this fairy city, so it is a bit too early to say that you can get the immortal king seal now. However, it is quite good to have the opportunity. Wu Yu was also a little confused, but he still landed quickly with everyone, approaching the fairy city. This was a vast city, which was resplendent with gold and green, and had a large number of fairy formations. When they got closer, Su Zidong and others saw in shock that the fairy city was there is someone in it. There are a dozen or so immortal lords in white immortal armor. My endless immortal army will defend the immortal king seal to the death. You guys, Xiao Xiao, retreat quickly. Sure enough, it was Grand Marshal Tianyu's endless immortal army that guarded this place. This is the biggest obstacle for Wu Yu and others to obtain the Immortal King Seal now. However, the opportunity is right in front of you and no one will give up. If I can get the Immortal King Seal this time, I can just hide in hiding for the next 100 years. It is even very possible that this is the first Immortal King Seal to appear in the entire endless galaxy. This luck is truly incredible. But Wu Yu could also see clearly that these dozen endless immortal armies were not easy to deal with. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1347. The opportunity to obtain the Immortal King Seal is right in front of us. The entire ancient Mo camp has tried their best to release everything and kill the endless immortal army. Wu Yu looked at the overall strength of the ancient Mo camp. Although the opponent is indeed strong, the ancient Mo camp team cannot suppress them at all. It is difficult to defeat them and quickly obtain the Immortal King Seal. If it is not quick, there is such a huge movement on this star. There may be many strong people hidden in the surrounding starry sky. If we can't hold on until those strong people arrive and still can't solve the problem, then it will be troublesome. This is probably the best opportunity for the ancient Mo camp in 100 years. Before the battle with the endless immortal army wearing white fortune immortal armor, Su Zidong suddenly said to Wu Yu, "Your whereabouts are floating, it is easy to escape. You will find the Immortal King Seal, and we will do our best to contain the endless immortal army. Is this okay?" Wu Yu thought, this is indeed a good way. Now he must lower his posture. In the case of not being able to defeat the opponent, containing the opponent is also a good way. So Wu Yu suddenly separated from them. He first used the law of heaven and earth to transform himself into an extremely small person in the crowd, and then used the somersault cloud to change his shape and shadow and appeared behind this immortal city. Wu Yu was not very eye-catching in the crowd of Gumoying, so his transformation might not be discovered by the endless immortal army who were closely watching Su Zidong and others. As soon as he moved, the immortal kings of Gumoying above the immortal city each used their own methods to fight with the dozen endless immortal soldiers. The movement of this battle was quite huge, and the power of the autonomous world almost covered the entire immortal city. The world power of more than 20 immortal kings was destructive, making the entire immortal city extremely chaotic. Various world powers first destroyed the immortal city heavily. The walls and buildings of the immortal city were protected by magic arrays and immortal arrays. At this time, they were inevitably destroyed by the world power, becoming ruins, with tiles and sand flying everywhere. Wu Yu's body has become smaller now, and he can move freely and quickly. He knows that it will be difficult for Su Zidong and the others to hold on, so he moves quickly and enters the fairy city directly. He searches everywhere with his fiery eyes and golden pupils, and at the same time uses the fifth level of the somersault cloud, the sky cloud realm, which is similar to the power of the world, to protect himself. The sky cloud realm is like a small world surrounding him, and the outer layer has the nature of cotton. Those majestic world forces that suppress Wu Yu are all bounced out or scattered to both sides. With the sky cloud realm and the fiery eyes and golden pupils, Wu Yu is very efficient. He quickly moves around the entire fairy city, searching, and directly and simply destroys the suspicious places. Where is the Immortal King Seal? This fairy city is constantly broken, and even if Wu Yu does not destroy it, it will be destroyed by their battle. Su Zidong and the others pin their hopes on themselves, and Wu Yu is slightly under pressure. He knows how difficult it is to have such luck today. It would be great if I could use 100,000 clones to search for it, but unfortunately, in this fairy city, there are battles everywhere, which is their world power. In such an environment, the clones may not be able to hold on for a moment. In this fairy city, there are many tall palace buildings and countless corners. It is actually very difficult to find a fairy king seal that you don't even know what it looks like. Wu Yu also exhausted all his strength, sweeping through the entire fairy city like crazy, exploring and searching at the fastest speed. Since it is a treasure of the Tegzu artifact level, there must be some unusual places. At least it can't be destroyed. When Wu Yu raised the buildings to the ground, the Fairy King seal would always appear. At this time, it was a race against time, and time waited for no one. Once the Gu Mo camp was suppressed and casualties occurred, it would not be worth the loss. Wu Yu took a few glances. The ancient Mo camp was good at teamwork and based on battle formations. They cooperated very well with each other. However, as the Endless Immortal Army, the army of the Heavenly Court, their opponents were also good at it. At this time, the two battle formations were fighting, like two super beasts biting each other in the sky. Immortal King Seal, Immortal King Seal. As time passed, Wu Yu became a little anxious. This immortal city was very huge. If he was alone, no matter how fast he was, if he was unlucky or didn't see through the hidden method of the Immortal King Seal, it would be difficult to succeed. Wu Yu, hurry up. After searching for about a quarter of an hour, there was no harvest. At this time, Su Zidong was a little anxious and began to urge Wu Yu. I'll try my best. In fact, it was really difficult to find the Immortal King Seal in this immortal city. He increased his speed and quickly swept across the entire city, blocking the attack with the Sky Cloud Realm and sweeping around with his fiery eyes. Stop! Wu Yu had already made quite a stir in the immortal city at this time, and the Endless Immortal Army had indeed discovered him. At this time, one person was separated from the battle formation of the Endless Immortal Army to deal with Wu Yu, further hindering Wu Yu from finding the Immortal King Seal. However, after one person was separated, the pressure on the Gu Mo camp was slightly less, and it might be able to hold on for a longer time. The Endless Immortal Army wore the Creation Immortal armor and held a long spear of the Creation Immortal weapon, like a silver lightning, and suddenly killed Wu Yu in front of him. The power of the world. The opponent almost did not hesitate at all, and there was no nonsense, and directly used the power of the world to suppress Wu Yu. Wu Yu was small at this time, and his strength had dropped to the minimum. There was no benefit in confronting the opponent at this time. So before the opponent's power of the world was suppressed in front of his eyes, he immediately transferred, and with a whoosh, he changed his shape and appeared on the other side, continuing to search for the Immortal King Seal. Where to escape? The Endless Immortal Army was extremely surprised. However, Wu Yu had to find the Immortal King Seal quickly. The faster the speed, the bigger the movement. He quickly locked onto Wu Yu and pursued him again. After Wu Yu dodged several times, he realized that the opponent's pursuit greatly affected his efficiency. So he could only make up his mind to repel this opponent who was probably the Immortal Lord of the Five Realms first. For Wu Yu, the Immortal Lord of the Five Realms is very powerful. At least stronger than Yun Mo. Fortunately, he already possesses the ancient immortal patterns of the Eight Paths, and the Dragon Elephant Tathagata Prajna Buddha body has also reached perfection. Change. In front of the Endless Immortal Army, the originally small existence suddenly grew in size. From a body of less than 2 inches, he suddenly became a giant. At this time, his physical power has returned. Wu Yu held the Fusion Tower and the Fusion Tower in his hands. There are such methods. The Endless Immortal Army was not worried, but sneered. A mere Xianxian dared to enter the Endless Galaxy. This does not take our Endless Immortal Army seriously. With that said, he used the power of the world to suppress it. This was a world of shining light, filled with dazzling light everywhere. Those lights were like countless blades coming towards Wu Yu to assassinate him. Tianyun Realm. Now Somersault Cloud has surpassed the realm of Xianyun and changed from a realm to a world. It can be said that the current Tianyun realm, at least in terms of power and appearance, is quite similar to the autonomous world. It may even make people think that he is actually the realm Lord God realm. The sky cloud world expanded instantly, pushing the silver world out directly, and in turn suppressing the opponent. Countless clouds and mist enveloped the silver light. In the entire huge world, there were countless clouds and mist, like a violent storm, surging like a wave, falling from the sky, suppressing to Wu Yu's opponent. You are also in the realm of Realm Lord God. The other party's eyes widened, perhaps because he felt a little incredible. At first, he did not see the power of the world in Wu Yu. Jiangang, charge! The endless immortal army fought back. He didn't think he would lose to Wu Yu. At this time, when his independent world retreated, he condensed the independent world and instantly compressed the changes in the entire world into a giant sword. It is extremely sharp. In this way, it can easily tear Wu Yu's Tianyun realm and kill Wu Yu in half. Destroy your independent world. The other party is quite confident. What a beautiful thought. Both sides are competing for the seal of the immortal king, and they are not fighting to the death, so it can be considered a fair fight. Wu Yu threw the floating life tower into the sky, and the power of the floating life tower instantly enveloped the entire place. Time changes speed. At this time, the vast immortal energy was used to activate the time array, and the power of time chaos spread all around in an instant. Both the Tianyun realm and the enemies were caught in this time chaos. However, Wu Yu himself was not affected by this time chaos. Influence. Buzz. In an instant, when the silver giant sword was distorted in time, the entire sword was distorted for a while, confused from front to back, up and down, and the compressed and solid sword instantly collapsed. How is it possible? The endless immortal army was in disbelief. He couldn't understand what kind of power Wu Yu's immortal weapon of creation brought. But even if he didn't believe it, Wu Yu still came through the sky cloud realm at this time. The expansion of the cloud realm that day instantly suppressed the sky. Suddenly, Wu Yu's fusion sword went in and out of his body 3 times. If Wu Yu wanted to kill him, he would succeed at this time. Well. The opponent fell to the ground, and the raging sword energy was still surging through his body, impacting his internal organs. At this time, he could only watch Wu Yu leave and continue to search for the immortal king seal. But he was defeated and could only stay here. Expel the lethality of the fusion sword left by Wu Yu. Very good. Seeing Wu Yu defeat their opponent, Su Zidong and the others breathed a sigh of relief. They wanted to specifically attack one person in the battle formation. This was very simple, but it would be easier if they dealt with it alone. Wu Yu was not only looking for the immortal king seal, it is also equivalent to reducing the opponent's strength. Next, Wu Yu continued to search for the immortal king seal at full speed. He was also very impatient because after searching for so long, there was still no trace at all. Sure enough, the seal of the immortal king was hard to get. What's even more troublesome is that at this moment, Wu Yu looked up and saw many immortal kings rushing towards him in the sky, looking like crazy. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1348. The fairy city appeared with great movement, and it still erupts with strong light, making the star grow a handle and shine even brighter. There are more than 100 million immortal lords who have entered this endless galaxy. There must be many other immortal lords in the surrounding starry sky. When the first change occurs here, someone should know about it. Then, come crazy. Wu Yu could not find the immortal king seal for a long time. As time passed, the first batch of outsiders finally arrived. Their arrival made Su Zidong and others look pale. The best opportunity has now been missed. Wu Yu took a closer look and saw that the people who came were not weak, and there were 2 groups of people in succession. The strength of each group was no weaker than that of Gu Moying. They also come in groups. Of course, the tacit understanding and cohesion of their team may not be as good as that of Gu Moying. Wu Yu estimated that the endless immortal armies guarding of the immortal king seal should be time limited. They could not defeat all their opponents. But if they persisted for a certain period of time and the Immortal King Seal was not found, then they would have merit and even the Immortal King Seal. The royal seal belongs to them. As for how long it will last, it is not clear. Anyway, when that time comes, this fairy city will definitely disappear. Now there are new competitors, and the situation is even more critical. Su Zidong took a look and saw that the opponent was taking advantage of them to contain the endless immortal army and wanted to directly enter the immortal city to rob it. They were not so stupid. Withdraw. Su Zidong retreated instantly and led Gu Moying out of the battlefield. He first dodged the sharp edge, then dispersed and rushed towards the fairy city. This time, it was completely chaotic. Everyone, don't break up and look out for each other. Even if they are separated, they can still see each other in a position where they stand, and they are basically in pairs. As for Wu Yu, he has a strong ability to escape, so they are not worried. Of course, the endless immortal army chased them down, but they couldn't just target Gumo camp, because others had already arrived in the immortal city at this time, and the stars were twinkling in the distance, and it was obvious that more people were attracted here. Get out of here. The Immortal King Seal is mine. There are some slightly stronger beings who can't help but want to kill. Completely plunged into chaos. What Wu Yu can do now is to use the magic and celestial phenomena to make himself smaller. He is now walking around in disguise, looking for the Immortal King Seal. He will never get entangled with others and spend most of his time looking for it. Superior. The situation is now in chaos, everyone is bombing, searching with red eyes, and many people are already fighting each other. The movement is huge, the scene is completely uncontrollable, and even a few of the endless immortal army have been killed. In this endless galaxy, whoever kills the endless immortal army will be recorded and will definitely be retaliated against in the future. Therefore, most people do not dare to kill the endless immortal army. Those who really want to kill them are already excited. Going crazy. Give it a try. Seeing that there were more people coming, and even the endless immortal army was overwhelmed, his chance was obviously very small. After all, Wu Yu's number was not large at all. Outlaw clone. This time, he directly transformed 100,000 clones at the same time. For a time, 100,000 Wu Yu almost crowded the fairy city, and then quickly launched into the search. What the hell is this? Such a high-profile approach certainly aroused the anger of the crowd. Everyone discovered that Wu Yu's clones were piled up around them, and they were all looking for the Immortal King Seal. The number of 100,000 is quite spectacular. Except for Gu Moying, the first attack was of course to massacre Wu Yu's clones. In a short period of time, thousands of Wu Yu's extra-legal clones were destroyed almost every breath of time. However, it doesn't matter, because at least for a short period of time, he has a vision that others do not have. This is his last-ditch effort. Where is the seal of the Immortal King? His clone entered the major buildings in the Immortal City. As time passed, his clones were decreasing rapidly. Even if he was hiding, when the immortal monarchs destroyed the world with the power of the world, basically even people and buildings were reduced to ashes. This is. Suddenly, one of Wu Yu's clones found a being that looked like a mortal jade seal on top of the desk in a small room. He quickly picked it up. There was nothing special about this thing, but after a closer look, he felt that it was a bit mysterious. Maybe this was the realm of Taixu, and Taixu meant understanding the rules and returning to nature. Maybe this is the Immortal King's seal, although it's not certain. Of course Wu Yu's true body must come here quickly. But the moment he took the thing away, an immortal suddenly rushed in. At this moment, Wu Yu's clone was killed, and of course the thing in his hand was gone. Haha, at this time, Wu Yu looked over there and saw an immortal lord rushing out of the hut and about to escape without saying a word. Maybe it was the Immortal King seal that was taken away by him. This person is very strong and very sensitive. If Wu Yu's guess is correct, he is probably the immortal lord of the 8 realms. He just arrived, but he didn't expect to lock onto the immortal king seal at the first moment. He must have some special means. At this time, all of Wu Yu's clones had been completely destroyed. In less than 10 breaths, not a single bit was left. He stole the immortal king's seal. When the immortal fled, Wu Yu immediately shouted. If he was allowed to leave, there would be no chance at all. Fengli, immortal lord. Someone recognized him. Seeing that immortal Fengli was very excited and running away, everyone knew that they must have fallen into his hands. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. For a moment, everyone united, and except for the endless immortal army, they all rushed out of the immortal city and chased the Fengli immortal lord. Su Zidong and the others also chased after them. They were indeed very depressed, but there was nothing they could do about it. It all depended on luck and, of course, their strength. They had not obtained the seal of the immortal king in a short period of time. If they wanted to get it again, it would be quite difficult. Difficulty. A group of people, chasing one person, rush into the sky. Of course Wu Yu is not willing to give in. He almost got it. Once he reaches the fusion tower, no one can take it away. If the opponent is not strong, Wu Yu has a way to intercept him. However, if he suddenly appears and snatches the successful 8-realm immortal lord, it is even very possible that he has been dormant nearby for a while, waiting to get it the moment he appears. It is indeed very experienced to snatch away the immortal king seal and leave. Wu Yu used his somersault cloud to instantly rush in front of him and wait for him when a group of people were chasing him. In terms of speed, Wu Yu was really not bad. Get away. However, the opponent's power was extremely majestic. With a wave of his hand, a gust of world power swept over him and swept Wu Yu away. When he tried to find him in the vast starry sky, he had already disappeared. The others also lost pursuit. Immortal Lord Fengli was good at speed. It was normal for Su Zidong and others not to be able to catch up with him. This almost meant that the immortal king seal of unknown grade had fallen into his hands. But now, the light on the stars has disappeared, and the fairy city has sunk underground again. The mission of these dozen endless fairy armies should be said to have failed. They must be upset, and of course Wu Yu and others are too. They are together again in Gumo camp. Su Zidong said, "Don't be discouraged, everyone. On the first day we came here, we had such an opportunity, which gave us a chance to compete. It's already pretty good. But this time when the fairy city appeared, the movement was too great. It was really difficult for us to get it. Next, let's keep working hard." Yang Wenlin said, "Yes, everyone should be more open-minded. After all, this should be the first immortal king seal that appears. How could we be so lucky to get it?" In fact, everyone still felt very sorry. After all, they were so close to the immortal king seal. Losing it now meant losing it, and it was only one step away. No matter how they thought about it, they felt a little unwilling to accept it. Wu Yu was also helpless. In fact, he was just a little bit behind. Don't take it too seriously. The immortal king seal is not that easy to find. We may pass by each other many times. At this time, the most important thing is not to be impatient. Su Zidong patted Wu Yu's shoulder and said, Everyone is tired. Let's find a place to rest first, and then continue our journey. There are still 100 years to go. We will all spend it in this endless galaxy, and it will definitely be more often in the future. This is only the first year. Don't think that this is the end of the journey. It's over. Right. They were still very capable of finding fun. Soon, they settled down on another star. This star was smaller. They rested and recovered first. When the state was perfect, they continued to search. First, they started searching from the foot. A star begins. If we can still find traces of the immortal king seal here, then my surname will no longer be Wu. Haha, luck can't be so good, Wu Xiao said with a smile while searching. He thought, maybe if you talk about it this way, you might be lucky. It turned out that the chance of finding 2 stars with the immortal king seal in a row was 1 in hundreds of thousands. The further back they went, the more they discovered that the immortal king seal existed in the first star they were looking for. How lucky they were! Because in the next 2 years or so, they traveled all over the stars and met a lot of immortal lords. Basically, everyone passed by them in a hurry, but no trace of the immortal king seal was found. There are some traces of battles or turbulence, indicating that the immortal king seal has been taken away. In some places, there are even some corpses, that is, those who died in the past 2 years. The endless galaxy is huge, with tens of millions of stars. In 2 years, they have only traveled through a small part of it, which requires a faster transfer speed. Until this day in the 3rd year, while they were moving from one star to another, they suddenly saw an extremely huge battle sound coming from the star in front of them. That is a relatively large blue star. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1349. At this time, even though it was far away, one could still see a blue sea of fire appearing in the center of the stars. It was a crystal-like sea of fire, billowing and flowing. On top of the sea of fire, there seemed to be many immortal kings, who were now moving. Fighting. The stars are dry, boring, and all rocks. It is impossible to have such a bright sea of fire. There must be the immortal king seal to cause such a change. And looking at the movement of the sea of fire, it is very likely that the grade of the immortal king seal will be quite high. Just like this, as they got closer and closer, they found that there were extremely many people fighting and searching on it. The blue star obviously did not have a sea of fire at the beginning. It was obviously the explorer who touched the key and made the sea of fire appear. Now that the sea of fire still exists and people are still fighting, it means that the seal of the immortal king still exists and has not been taken away. Walk. This is the second opportunity they have encountered so far. Rush. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network. Rightward arrow. Gu Moying quickly approached. To be honest, there are hundreds of immortal lords here, and they can attract so many people. The first is because of the huge movement, and the second is because the sea of fire has appeared for several days. Among the hundreds of immortal lords, there are many strong ones. The strength of Su Zidong, the immortal lord of the 7 realms, can only be regarded as mid-range here. Obviously there are many immortal lords of the 8 realms and even the immortal lords of the 9 realms. There are so many people fighting in the sea of fire, which means there are more people looking for the immortal king seal in the sea of fire. Seeing this situation, Su Zidong quickly said, the grade of this immortal king seal must be very high. Don't go all out. If the situation is wrong or dangerous, just quit. With our strength, even if we get this immortal king's seal, it will be very valuable. It may not be saved. Yes, let's just watch the excitement and gamble on luck. If it is really delivered to us, then escape quickly. After all, Wu Yu's escape method is indeed very sophisticated. If we can get this immortal king seal, we can hide it. It's worth 100 years, Qing Yuli said with a smile. They were a little more relaxed this time, because there was too much movement and too many strong people here, so they felt that the chance was very small. Although they would fight for it, the premise was to save their lives and never fight with their lives against others. Wu Yu thought for a moment and said, my whereabouts can be hidden, and I can fight for it with all my strength. No one knows me anyway. I'll separate from you first, so that if I succeed, people will keep an eye on you. They were naturally envious and admired Wu Yu's magical powers, the method of becoming larger and smaller, and the method of escaping. In fact, Su Zidong knew that even without them, Wu Yu could still come and go in this endless galaxy at this time. Feel free. So he nodded and said, okay, you go and try, but you still have to pay attention to safety. They had already arrived above the Sea of Fire. There was relatively little fighting at this time. Everyone was looking through the Sea of Fire. However, there were several forces that wanted to occupy the Sea of Fire, so they drove away people when they saw them. This blue flame is equivalent to a kind of immortal essence, which is very powerful. Other immortal kings must use the power of the world to protect their bodies, but Wu Yu's body can enter the Sea of Fire. You guys, get out and don't come close. As soon as Gu Moying approached, a bald and powerful eight-realm immortal lord appeared nearby and said coldly to Su Zidong and the others. Wu Yu was no longer with them at this time. So what if we get close, Su Zidong said. Then you all have to die. This is the place we found. With your strength, you want to try your luck. Even if you get such a high-grade immortal king seal, you won't be able to save your life. I'll give you 3 breaths, if you don't get out, I'm going to kill someone. There are several people he is looking for beside him, and they are his companions at first glance. He is warning now that he will actually take action later. It is normal for him to kill 1 or 2 from Gu Moying. Let's go. Su Zidong had no choice but to retreat to the back. Sure enough, it was unlikely that this immortal king seal belonged to them. Now several forces are looking here, because they have equal strength and have reached a balance, while those who are not strong enough are not even qualified to compete. Of course, at this time, Wu Yu had already minimized the changes in the heavens and the earth and dived deeply into the Sea of Fire. He had no power of the world, and it was not obvious at all. No one noticed him at all. But this Sea of Fire is too big. To find the Immortal King Seal here, and the high-grade Immortal King Seal must be very special, how difficult is it? The endless immortal army was not seen here, and it was probably defeated. Su Zidong and the others can only watch from a distance now. Is it possible for Wu Yu to succeed? Yang Wenlin asked. How is that possible? Yi shook his head and said, I estimate that there are at least 10 nine-realm immortal lords active inside, and there will definitely be more coming. The Sea of Fire is so big, and his clone cannot be released when the flames are burning, so the possibility is almost impossible, but there is no need to worry about his life, he can escape quite quickly, Su Zidong said. It's not that they don't think highly of Wu Yu, but it's really too difficult to find. Wu Yu wandered around here for a long time, but he didn't get the Immortal King Seal. Instead, he encountered the corpses of 2 immortal lords who had just been beheaded. These 2 corpses had reached the realm of a man and a woman had reached the level of the immortal lord of the 7 realms. They were probably killed not long ago. For the people here, in this Sea of Fire, no one below the immortal lord of the 8 realms was qualified to compete. They were already dead, and the immortals were disintegrated. They were about to overflow from their bodies and disappear into ashes. Wu Yu had not devoured them for a long time. He could not defeat an immortal king of this level by himself. He temporarily gave up searching for the Immortal King Seal and began to devour the 2 corpses, absorbing and transforming the essence of the immortal Dao that was about to return to heaven and earth, and turned it into his own. The power of the 2 immortal lords of the 7 realms is really terrifying, especially the power of the world. Wu Yu first preserved the immortal God World Core and kept it in his body without hurrying to digest it. This is the foundation of the Realm Lord Divine Realm. Part of it, if absorbed at this time, the body will probably be burst. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. But the insights and Tao of the 2 immortal kings, as well as their memories, are all in Wu Yu's mind. He probably knows their lives, why they were killed, And by whom? Coincidentally, it was the man who scolded Su Zidong. Their bald immortal king killed these two people because after hearing the warning, they sneaked in anyway and angered them. There may be many more like this. Wu Yu was not afraid of them. He continued to search and went deeper. At this time, Su Zidong sent a messenger talisman, telling Wu Yu to withdraw quickly. Wu Yu himself also felt strong pressure. It was obvious that someone stronger was coming, so he quickly remained calm and prepared to withdraw first. Have a look. When he locked the position of Su Zidong and the others from within the sea of fire and appeared directly behind Su Zidong and the others, he heard a majestic sound resounding on the stars. Everyone inside, listen, this star already belongs to my eternal Phoenix clan. I'll give you 10 breaths of time. If you don't exit the sea of fire within 10 breaths of time, we will kill you. But this was not said by one person, but by dozens or hundreds of people. That majestic and domineering voice shook the entire star. Wu Yu saw it. Above the sea of fire, hundreds of eternal phoenixes appeared at this time. They were flying across the starry sky in the shape of phoenixes. A dragon equivalent to hundreds of top-level immortal kings is flying across the sky. This scene is truly spectacular. These hundreds of 9-colored immortal phoenixes, either surrounded by flames, or entangled by frost or thunder, at least dozens or more, are the realm of the immortal Lord of the 9 realms. They are an extremely powerful group here. Wherever they go, except for a limited number of people, they will probably have to let them go. Obviously, there is no one here who can fight against these hundreds of immortal phoenixes. They were also attracted by the sea of fire and came here. They only give others 10 breaths of time, otherwise they will kill them without mercy. Judging from their strength, they can definitely kill without mercy. Eternal Phoenix Clan. I believe that those who were in the Sea of Fire, when they were in Chang'an Sanctuary, had seen how terrifying the team of the Eternal Phoenix Clan was, and among them was the youngest daughter of the Yuanzi Phoenix Emperor, the Fire Dance Phoenix Lord. Such a princess-level existence cannot be defeated and cannot be offended. Therefore, no matter how unwilling and angry they were, most of them still came out of the Sea of Fire in order to save their lives. When they saw the overwhelming and flying immortal phoenixes, even the bald immortal king who threatened Wu Yu before, this time she was also dejected, and he and his companions silently exited the Sea of Fire. Report the identity of those who have not exited the Sea of Fire, and you will be rewarded. At this moment, Wu Yu heard the familiar voice. He really had a dream-like feeling. Wasn't this voice belong to Nangang Wei? He looked at the group of immortal phoenixes, and at the core, he found the one that was not the largest, but she was the most noble. Even the appearance of this phoenix was exactly the same as Nangang Wei. Every feather Wu Yu had an impression, but his temperament was not on the same level at all. Who is she? It's time for 10 breaths. She said calmly, I've given you a chance. Go in. If you encounter anyone who refuses to quit, shoot them without mercy. For a moment, at least more than half of the immortal Phoenix clan rushed into the Sea of Fire. There were indeed some people inside who were unconvinced and did not withdraw. If they fought, they would definitely die. Well, Lord Xuanhuan, let's go first, someone said. Lord Xuanhuan shook his head and said, no one is allowed to leave until I get the Immortal King Seal. Who knows, may you have already obtained the Immortal King Seal. Her gaze swept over everyone around her, including Gu Mo Ying. Then, the remaining Immortal Phoenix clan also flew away, forming an even larger area, trapping everyone within it. Su Zidong said, it's okay, we don't have any Immortal King Seal, and we haven't gone in, so it's okay for her to search. In fact, he was a little timid when he met the Immortal Phoenix clan, and he just wanted to leave at this time. The Immortal Phoenix clan now controls everything, and it is impossible for others to obtain the Immortal King Seal. They were overbearing, but no one dared to resist. Whoever wants to get the Immortal King Seal here first should take it out quickly, Otherwise, he will definitely be killed. The fire dance phoenix lord glanced at everyone again and said. Heaven swallowing record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1350. The team of the Eternal Phoenix clan is strong and domineering. Now, with Lord Xuanhuan as the core, on the one hand, many strong men are sent into the Sea of Fire to quickly find the Immortal King Seal. On the other hand, other strong men are sent to restrict the actions of everyone around them, even people like Gu Mo Ying. The people who have just arrived and have not yet entered the Blue Sea of Fire cannot leave for the time being. The Fire Dance Phoenix Lord is always protected by several immortal phoenixes at the level of the Immortal Lord of the Nine Realms. While most of the immortal phoenixes were searching for the Immortal King's seal, the Fire-Wansing Phoenix Lord led a group of powerful men and began to head towards the ordinary Immortal Lord who had previously searched in the Blue Sea of Fire. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. They first appeared in front of the bald Immortal King who had scolded Gu Moying before. Perhaps they saw that this person was the most thorny. Next to the outstanding, beautiful, domineering, and noble Fire Dance Phoenix Lord, those top-notch immortal phoenixes are also quite terrifying. One of the Snow White Phoenixes, whose whole body was burning with white flames, was a man. He said to the bald Immortal King, "Open your bag of Sumuru and let us investigate." The bald Immortal Lord was trapped here and could not leave, so he felt very depressed. Suddenly hearing such a request, he became furious and said, "You are indeed powerful, but you cannot humiliate us like this. The Sumuru bag has how can every immortal secret be revealed to you at will?" Snow White Phoenix sneered and said, "First, we just want to see if there is any Immortal King seal obtained here. We are not interested in your other garbage at all. Second, you do have the right to protect your secrets, but for us a dead person has no secrets, and the Sumuru bag will belong to others. The meaning is that we only want to see the Immortal King seal. If we don't show it, then we will die." The bald Immortal King was obviously a thorn. At this time, he was threatened by death and became furious. He immediately called everyone and said, "Everyone, this Immortal Phoenix clan is bullying others too much. Don't treat us as human beings. Let's unite and see how dare they." Before he finished speaking, Lord Xuanhuan snorted. Suddenly, several Nine Worlds Immortal Lords around him took action at the same time. They were all Phoenix immortal beasts. They had long been prepared to kill. Suddenly, the power and various natal magical powers directly and continuously bombarded the body of the bald Immortal Lord, and the partners of the bald Immortal Lord were shocked at this time and hurriedly hid in the distance, and then watched the bald Immortal Lord in front of their eyes. In a short period of time, they were reduced to ashes by 10 times more opponents. In the blink of an eye, the Sumuru bag of the bald Immortal fell into the hands of the Snow White Phoenix. The Beimo Feng Jun opened the Sumuru bag and spilled everything inside, which fell with a crash. Entering into the Sea of Fire below, the elixirs, fairy spirits, etc. were burned to ashes, and the immortal artifacts also sank into the depths of the Sea of Fire. However, no one in the Eternal Phoenix clan seemed to have any interest. Lord Bai Mo Feng sneered and said, "You guys, be careful, I have no interest in anything other than the Immortal King seal in your Sumuru bag. If you still insist not to show it, then this fool will be your fate." Killing chickens to scare monkeys has a very good effect. For a moment, everyone was silent, not daring to move. The Immortal Phoenix clan worked on a two-pronged approach. On the one hand, they were searching to seize the Immortal King seal, and on the other hand, they were searching in the Sea of Fire. Don't worry, everyone, we do things according to rules. We are only interested in the Immortal King seal in the Sea of Fire. We will not take the Immortal King seal that you obtained elsewhere. Bai Mo Feng Jun smiled. Then he pointed to an Immortal Lord of the Nine Realms and said, "Start with you. Although this matter is humiliating, it is not life-threatening, and after checking, you can leave. Therefore, the 9 realms immortal lord simply took out the stored items and let the other party see them all. Once there is something like the floating life tower, type, a creation fairy weapon with internal space, it cannot escape the eyes of the World Lord Divine Realm. The World Lord Divine Realm feels so strongly about space, and their immortal Phoenix clan must also find out, so that no one can hide the immortal King Seal. This worried Wu Yu. If they came to check on him, would they find Nanshan Wanjiao and Ye 11? Yes, you can go by Mo Feng Jun check the first person. Wait for my friend the immortal lord of the 9 realms was very unhappy. He must have remembered this humiliation. In that case, ask all your friends to come over. Lord Bei Mo Feng was checking in front, while the outstandingly graceful Lord Fire Dancer was hidden among the powerful ones. After all, she was young and only an immortal lord of the 7 realms, so she always had to worry about someone trying to kidnap her. But everyone knows that she is the absolute core of this team. Next, because of the death of the bald immortal king, no one dared to resist or run away. The Eternal Phoenix clan also kept their promise and only looked at the immortal king's seal, which has not happened yet. They found that other people's immortal king seal was not obtained in this blue sea of fire, and they wanted to snatch it away. As time goes by, it will always be the turn of Gu Mo Ying. There is nothing wrong with the others. There is no immortal king seal anyway, but there are many secrets on Wu Yu's side, especially in the Fusion Tower. If they are allowed to be inspected by the opponent will you can definitely find Nanshan Wanjiao and Ye Zixi. Maybe they wouldn't care, but it was obvious that these 2 people were brought in by Wu Yu outside the rules. If they wanted to care, it would be troublesome. Anyway, Wu Yu was a little unhappy. However, the immortal Phoenix clan had already come to count the number of people on his side. If Wu Yu left here with the somersault cloud, it would definitely affect the ancient Mo camp. The Fire Dance Phoenix King, who looked exactly like Nangong Wei, had gradually approached Wu Yu. Although she looked like a phoenix, her demeanor, her voice, her tone, etc. were all exactly the same, even her eyes were the same. Wu Yu had no choice but to doubt that she had a relationship with Nangong Wei. Of course, he also knew that this could not be Nangong Wei at all. She must still be in the mortal world, not here. Even if she flew up to the heavenly palace and joined the immortal Phoenix clan, she would not be the 7 realms immortal king, but the youngest daughter of the Yuanzhou Phoenix Emperor who had been here for more than 100,000 years. She had spent more than 100,000 years in the heavenly palace. Although Wu Yu was depressed at this time, he also knew that the other party would come here sooner or later to check. They were the last batch. After all, they were far away from each other. At this moment, the group of phoenixes flew to the front of Gu Moying, and the Bai Mo Feng Jun came to Su Zidong. The other party looked down on Wu Yu and others with the power of the fairy beast. Su Zidong said respectfully, "My fellow fairy beasts, we have just arrived and have not even dared to go down to this blue sea of fire. There is no need to check, right? Everyone can testify." Bai Mo Feng Jun stared at him coldly and said, "Stop talking nonsense and start." Su Zidong had no choice but to offer his sumi bag for the other party to check. The Eternal Phoenix clan was not interested in the things in his bag, so soon, Gu Moying was almost checked. After all, this was the last few people. Wu Yu had been staring at the Huo Wu Huang Jun. They were too similar, but he was more certain that the other party was not Nangong Wei, because she had glanced at him a few times and there was no change. Obviously, she did not recognize him. If it was Nangong Wei, of course she would lock onto him at the first glance and skin him at the second glance. "It's your turn," Wu Yu was the last one. Bai Mo Feng Jun stared at Wu Yu with his stern eyes. The white flames on his body were actually quite hot, and ordinary people could not stay in front of him. It's rare for someone in the Xianxian realm to dare to come here. Haha, but being able to stay in front of me is also considered capable. They, a group of immortal phoenixes, All laughed for a while. Wu Yu could only take out the sumi bag under his pressure, but at this time, the eyes of the fire dance phoenix suddenly stared at Wu Yu and said, "Wait. Princess Fire Dance." Bai Mo Fengjun was a little surprised. Why did she interrupt? Wu Yu was also stunned. Why did she care about him? I saw that the fire dance phoenix let the crowd disperse, and she flew in front of Wu Yu and approached Wu Yu. "Princess Fire Dance, you can't get close to these desperate people." Bai Mo Fengjun said again, but the fire dance phoenix didn't pay attention to them. The fire dance phoenix king had a puzzled look on his face. At this moment, she was in front of Wu Yu and stared at him. There were very complex changes in her eyes, but overall, they were still puzzled. This shocked Wu Yu's heart. Could it be that she was really related to Nangang Wei? At this moment, she was seen to have changed into a human form in front of Wu Yu. She was wearing a fiery red dress and bathed in 9-color flames. Her temperament was noble and holy, and she could not be violated. Such precious blood set off her appearance and raised her to the top peak. She could also be compared with the demon Yuji, who was known as the most beautiful fairy in the heaven. Even every eyelash was perfect. The oppression at this moment almost suffocated Wu Yu. His mind was in chaos. Facing such a familiar girl, his mood was really difficult to calm down. She opened her red lips and said, "Who are you? Why do I seem to have seen you and know you?" Wu Yu was stunned. His heart was extremely shaken. Why did she say such a thing? Doesn't this mean that she is really related to Nangang Wei? But how is this possible? What is going on? Wu Yu was stunned. He couldn't believe it. How could this fire dance phoenix lord have seen him? So, for the sake of caution, he said, "It's impossible. I am just an ordinary immortal. Fire Dance Phoenix Lord is the daughter of the original Phoenix Emperor. She grew up in the immortal Phoenix Emperor realm. How could she have seen me?" Bai Mo Fengjun next to him was also a little stunned at first, and then said to Fire Dance Phoenix Lord, "The princess must have remembered it wrong. How could she have seen such a humble person?" The Fire Dance Phoenix Lord looked confused and shook his head and said, "No, I must have seen it. Otherwise I wouldn't have this impression. What's your name? How should I answer her? Who is she?"